The just complain continually. Those are that spiritual world that died on this side, right? That are up in the up with the Most High in the spiritual realm, complaining unto the Most High day in and day out, right? About how about why and about this kingdom being destroyed, right? Which goes to show you gotta stay focused on the scriptures, contrary to what Nate is telling you, contrary to what 14th Street is telling you, right? Because 14th Street is talking 10-year plans. All right, 14th ain't hasting the day, because even here you see the spirit of the just. When you're in the spiritual realm, you ain't got nothing to worry about, right? You're not in the fleshly body, so to speak. You haven't got nothing to worry about. But even they can play onto the Most High daily, right? It says. It says, the righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually, right? And therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood. So the Most High is going to do he's going to execute vengeance, so to speak. So that goes to show you that the Most High he conducts himself in all planes, namely happiness, anger, right, blessings and revenge. Right, showing you that the Most High is a perfect balance. Because yeah, he's telling you, he's talking about the revenge of the things that were done by these by the inhabitants of the earth against you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which constitute the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? It says, and therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, right, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Right, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. How is the people of the Most High led as a flock to the slaughter? Right, but you wicked pastors and preachers, right? But even more so than that, the wicked ones amongst the so-called elect, right? Like it says, some shall creep in unawares, right? So there's gonna be there's definitely niggas amongst GMS, right? And those are the people that lead other people onto the flock to Nate, right? 14th Street, right? You're probably gonna tell all your congregation to get the chip, right? And that chip, it goes straight in. That's a mark straight for the Lord, straight for the slaughter. Of which I pray, the Lord put that spirit on me, never to get that chip, right? Which is already out there, right? You go into a Tesco's or in the UK you got Tesco's and so on and so forth. All of those systems are already been already in place, namely you got Verifone and Verichip, right? You got the Verichip, which is implantable within the skin, like it speaks of in Revelations, and you got Verifone, which is what you actually use to make the the financial transactions. So those systems are already in place, right? You got the chip being implanted in certain in certain people throughout the 4 corners of the earth. But if you look deep enough, right, those systems are already in place. In England, it's already in place. In America, it's already in place. Right, and it's made by the same company, Verifone and Verichip. Check it out. Right? He says, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. Right? I will not suffer them now to dwell in Egypt. Now, what does Egypt mean? Egypt is just a word synonymous with slavery. It comes from the Greek word meaning bondage. That's what Egypt means. So the Most High said he's not going to suffer his people, you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, to dwell in that land of captivity. Now, we see in Deuteronomy the 28th and the 68th, it says, you Negroes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi was going to go into captivity by way of slave ships, right? And they were going to go into, back into Egypt. But by the way, the Most High spoke unto them, right? They're going to go back into bondage. Right, because that happened after. There's no record of you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans going into captivity, right, by way of ships into Egypt, because you can walk from Israel to Egypt, right? So this was talking about a new place. This was talking about a new place of bondage, right? And that's what it's talking about here in the prophecy in 2nd Ezra, right? That new place of bondage, right? It says, I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Egypt. But I will bring them with a mighty and stretched forth arm and smite Egypt with plagues, right? So the Most High is going to smite that new place of bondage, right? Namely America, because that's where the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans were put into captivity, right? Pursuant to Deuteronomy the 28th and the 68th verse, right? And it says, I will bring them with a mighty, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched arm and I will smite Egypt with plagues as before, right? Like it's saying, right, as before. So this is a new thing that's happening, right? This is going to be a new punishment that the Most High is going to execute against a new place of abundance for you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? And he's going to do it because those people put you people in captivity, right? Like, oh, this is Revelations 13:9, right? It's Revelations 13:9. It says, "Is any man have an ear, let him hear." Right? And he's like, that's basically that's like one of the men of the Lord out here basically saying, if any man has an ear, right, mainly be basically pushing the truth, right? Because the Most High has put that spirit, that elect spirit, on certain individuals, but that elect spirit is not on every individual, right? That elect is a small number. The Most High deals with a small number, right? So that when he does raise up the elect to do the destroying, right, it's going to be a glorious thing. Same thing when Gideon was on the scene. The Most High said he's not dealing with that large number, right? I mean, with the power and the spirit that he's going to put it on them, right? He's not dealing with that small number. He wasn't dealing with that large multitude of people, right? He cut it down right down to 300. Same thing he's going to do right now. He's going to cut it right down to 144,000, right? And you're going to have the 1/3 that's going to make it, but the 144,000, which is the elect, which is going to be the men that are going to be pushing this word, they're the ones that are going to be doing the majority of the damage when the time comes. Alright? It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. Right? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Right? So the people that led you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans into captivity, namely you Negroes, because that's a well-documented event, wherewith you Negroes were sent by way of slave ships, by way of cargo slave ships into the Americas. Right? The people that done that unto you, according to the scriptures, is going to be done unto them. Right? Which goes to show you that the Most High is a perfect balance. Right? It says, if any he that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience in the face of the saints. So that's our faith. That's our faith. Right? That's our patience. That's what we're looking for and hasting towards. Right? Not you know, tax exemption. Right, you know, making money in this bloody kingdom. Right, that's not what we look forward to. We look forward to unto the day that the Most High sets us up. Lord willing, I'll be part of that elect. Right, but sets us back up in our own estate. Most of the night, we're gonna be having those glorious bodies and so on and so forth. Not having to worry about, you know, mortal thoughts. Right, because in this kingdom, you gotta think about mortal thoughts, food, and so on and so forth. The Most High said you ain't gonna worry about what you're gonna eat and so on and so forth. Right, Most High said he's going to take care of that, but how much more so when we get into our own kingdom, pursuant to Daniel 2:44. Alright? And this is back in 2nd Ezra, the 15th. Right, it says, but I will bring them with a mighty and stretched forth arm and smite Egypt with plagues. Right, so the Most High is going to smite that new place of bondage, namely America, with plagues. What are some of those plagues? Some of those plagues is going to be missiles. Some of those plagues is going to be a disease, because you got different kind of weaponry, right? We're in the age where you got different kind of weaponry, right? One of those types of weaponry you can let loose on a country, right? Is a biological attack, right? You can actually let a disease, right, where you crossbreed different viruses, right, to create a new super virus. Right, and let that force as a biological attack on a country. Right, so when it says plagues, that's going to be one of those plagues he's talking about right there. Notwithstanding, like it says in Zechariah the 14th chapter, right, one of those plagues that he's going to send forth is those ICBM, them intercontinental ballistic missiles, coming from the Iranians and all the surrounding Middle Eastern countries. Right, and the Russians are going to be doing work too. Right, all of these different countries, most of them got bases around Cuba. Right, I believe the Iranians have a base in Cuba. Right, where if they got their own nuclear arsenals in that particular land, just in case, you know, if by night, right, the Americans go into Iran, which would be a beautiful thing because that's all that World War III. Right, it says, but I will bring them with a mighty and stretched arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. Right, Egypt being America, right, and all of that are joined unto America, the ones that have treaties with America and so on and so forth. Right, it says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with plagues, and the punishment of the Most High, and the Most High shall bring upon it. right? So that's the punishment that the Most High is going to bring upon America and all countries alike, right? Because at the end of the day, all the different nations in the kingdom have had you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans in some form of captivity at some point, right? And this is the 13th verse. It says, "They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail." So that's talking about this. That's talking about the famines, right? And it says, "For their seed shall fail through blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation." So through blasting and hail, right, namely those ICBMs, right, and with the fearful constellations, because you're gonna see abnormal, like I was saying before, you're gonna see abnormal constellations. You're gonna see abnormal celestial bodies. Why? Because the Lord's coming back, and every time the Lord comes back, you see abnormal things happening: earthquakes, right, flooding, famines, right? And you're gonna see different. You're gonna see all kind of constellations in the sky, telling you that the Lord is on His way back. All right. And it says, "For with a fearful constellation." So that's how you're gonna see these people's crops fail, right? And you're gonna see it in the skies as well. You're gonna see, that's how they know. That's how they know that the Lord's coming back, because you're seeing all kind of celestial bodies, hovering around the earth. Right? Or you're gonna type in UFOs on YouTube. You see all kind of fearful constellations. Right? It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and destruction draweth nigh." Right? So woe unto the world, right? That means destruction. Woe means destruction, right? Destruction unto the world, right? And them that dwell therein, for the sword draweth nigh, right? And their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up to fight against another people, and with swords in their hands. And that's what it's talking about in Matthew the 13th and the 8th chapter, where you're gonna have the different nations rising up against each other, right? It says, "For they shall be sedition," right? Sedition being civil unrest, right? And you're seeing civil unrest happening in all the four corners of the earth, right? It says, "For they shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." Right? Not only countries, people gonna be invading people's houses. You're gonna have Bob next door to Steve. Bob's gonna go through Steve's stuff, and Steve's gonna come over the next day and take Bob's stuff. Right? There's gonna be sedition amongst the people. Why? Because there's civil unrest. Why? Because there ain't gonna be no jobs. Right? You can't carry on having financial growth, right? With no with infinite amount of substance. That's something I like to quote all the time. Where you can't have infinite growth with a finite substance, meaning to say there's a finite amount of gold, there's a finite amount of stuff that you can have in terms of trading, in terms of the stock market, in terms of actually getting growth, right, on the stock market. You can't carry on having growth with that finite amount of stuff, right? There's gonna come a point where the stocks is gonna crash, right? And that's what it's talking about here when it says there's gonna be sedition among people. There ain't gonna be no jobs, there ain't gonna be no money, there ain't gonna be no food. It only takes 2 days for Tesco to go empty. Right, because this is not a country where you can go out to your backyard and pick up fruit, unless you got a big garden. But that's only gonna last what, month, 2 months, right? And those are the people that have their so-called store cupboards filled up. Right, the men of the Lord's gonna have to eat. The Lord said the men of the Lord have to eat, but the Most High also said we ain't gonna worry about that. So the men of the Lord, the men that are throughout the four corners of the earth, ain't gonna worry about stashing up food, right? Because that food has already been stashed for the men of the Lord. Right? And most of the night, you don't know how the Most High is going to feed you in that day. Alright? It says, "And for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For they shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes." So they ain't going to regard the police and so on and so forth. Right? Police is going to be a thing of the old. Right? In fact, the police is gonna be the first ones to hand in their badges, because they know, the police know who they mess with, right? And they mess with mainly Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But you're talking about sedition among men. Them cops are gonna be the first one to hand in their badges. They don't want nothing to do with it, right? They ain't gonna want to remember the fact that they had Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans in some kind of form of sedition. Right, because you Negroes, when the Most High puts that spirit upon you, you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are gonna go all out. You're gonna go crazy up in this kingdom. Right? It says, they shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the courts of their actions shall not stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able to. And what's that talking about? That's talking about the way these roads are designed, where you only have to cut off one end of the road, right, to completely lock down that street, right? So you can have one military tank right at the end of the road, right? Because this is all gridlock roading, but to get out of that gridlock, you have to go via one main road. Right, so you just have to shut down one road, and we got this place all on lockdown. Right? It says, and a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. Right? For because of their pride shall the cities be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right? It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, right, and spoil their goods, right, because of lack of bread, right? What's lack of bread? Lack of food, right? It says, for great tribulation. Now let's jump to Isaiah real quick. Right, this is Isaiah 14:1. It says, for the Lord will yet choose Israel, all right, which is you Negroes. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, right? Which is you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, all of Israel dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, right? So even though all of this madness is going to be happening, the Most High is still going to have mercy on you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He's still going to choose you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all of Israel dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, right? And set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave unto the house of Jacob. Right, so even with all of that madness happening, the Most High is still going to choose you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So we ain't got nothing to worry about, right? And this is Isaiah the 33rd and the 6th verse. Alright, this is Isaiah 33 and 6, and it says, wisdom. Wait. Let's see if I can stop. Right. This is Isaiah 33 and 6, and it says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times. So just like we started, the whole duty of man is to fear the Lord and keep his commandments. And we see that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Right, but we also see that the wisdom, knowledge and understanding is going to be stability at the time. So it's in your good favor to get into for you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans to get into this word. Right? It says, wisdom, knowledge, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times, and strength of salvation. For the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Right? So the fear of the Lord is going to be his treasure. Right? This is 1 Peter 4 and 17. Now this is 1 Peter 4 and 17. It says, "For the time is come that the Lord, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High." Right. So we see the Most High is going to begin judgment at his own house, amongst his own elect. Right. He says, "And if it begin first at us, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High?" So if judgment is going to begin first with the elect. Right, where with the Most High is going to be dismissing certain ones of the elect, which always happens around the Passover. Right, but the point is, the Most High is going to be dismissing certain ones that are amongst the elect. How much more so about you hard-headed Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Right, it says, "And if the righteously scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of the Most High commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing, as unto a faithful Creator." So you gotta keep, amongst the elect, you gotta keep your faith, right? You gotta keep, you gotta stay strong, so to speak, right? This is 2 John 1 and 6. Right, it's 2 John 1:6, and it says, and this is love, that we walk after his commandments, right? And this is the commandments that as ye have heard from the beginning, you shall walk in it. So the 613 laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, to the best of your ability, that's what you're supposed to be keeping, right? And we see that the judgment of the Most High is going to begin at his own house, his own sanctuary, right? So it's well favored that the ones that you go out there and you push this truth, it's in your good favor. You know, you commit yourself onto this world, onto this truth, all right? And this is Ezekiel. No, it's Romans 13 and 10.
Oh yeah.
All right, this is Romans 13 and 10, and it says, "Love worketh no ill to his neighbor; therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law." So, when we say we're about this truth, love this thing, that means we're fulfilling the law. We're keeping our end of the deal, so to speak, right? To the best of our ability, but we're keeping the best, keeping it to the best of our ability, right? Keeping the laws of the Most High to the best of our ability. That means to say when the Lord comes back, right? Then He's gonna set, the ones of us of the elect up as the rulers of the kingdom He's gonna set up, right? And this is Ezekiel 9 and 4. Right? And it says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry. Right? What's that mark? It's this truth. But most of the night, it's the name of the Lord. Right? It says, of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And how do we know what are the abominations? What makes something abominable? It will be something contrary to these scriptures. Right? That's why the scripture says we're supposed to love worketh no ill. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. Anything contrary to the law is going to be the abominable. It's going to be abominable in terms of what you define as something abominable. Right? It says, and to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after, right? And go through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have pity. Right? It says, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near anyone who's got a mark. Come not anyone near upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. So we're seeing even then, and seeing the Lord does the damage first at His sanctuary, because it makes sense, right? It says, this is Hosea 4 and 6. This is Hosea 4 and 6. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Right? It says, and because thou hast rejected knowledge, I'll also reject thee. Right? So because you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans rejected knowledge, that's why the scripture says, begin at my sanctuary. So because you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans rejected knowledge, right? And all of Israel dispersed throughout the four corners have rejected the knowledge of the Most High, namely the Lord, right? And so on and so forth, right? It says, I'll also reject thee, that there be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of the Most High, I'll also forget their children. So in that day, because and that goes into the reincarnation, because the people of the former age that have forgotten the law of the Most High, that wasn't of the elect, that didn't deal with the law in the former times, they're back here today. So the Most High said He's going to forget those their children, and they're their own children coming back in their reincarnation, right? And this is Jeremiah 4 and 22. Right? It says, for my people is foolish. They have not known me. So the majority of Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans don't know they're Israelites. Right? That's why the scripture says, my people is foolish. They have not known the Most High. Right? They're Sodish children. Right? Meaning they're foolish. Right? And they have none understanding. They're wise to do evil, but to do good they have no understanding. So the Negroes, Hispanics, and everything, all the wisdom that you have is to do wickedness. All right, and that's why in the former days, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, you set up certain amount your fruit, whether it be a livestock or actual, certain amount of your livestock, which was you prepared to sacrifice for the iniquity that you was going to willingly do. All right, that's why the Most High done away with the sacrifice, because you Negroes overplayed it. All right, and this is Isaiah 30:1. Right, it says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, right? That take counsel, but not of me, right? That cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, right?" And it says, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to, that go down to Egypt, that go down to that place of bondage, like I was saying, the modern day Egypt is America, right? It says that go down to Egypt, right? And have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. All right. So that's what the Most High is saying. Woe unto those people, all right, which is namely you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans that trust in this system, right? And this is Micah 2:10, which is going to be the last one. Right, this is Micah 2:10. It says, "Arise ye, depart, for this is not your rest." Right, so we ain't supposed to be trusting in this system, talking about taking some time off and come back in a couple of years, or thinking about 10 years and so on and so forth. Right, it says, "Arise, depart ye, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted." Right, and it says, let me jump to Revelations, the 18th chapter. This is Revelations 18:2, and it says, "And he cried with he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon." Now we hear in America being referred to as Babylon, which is the land of confusion. Right? It says, saying, "Babylon, the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils." Right? And the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every hateful and unclean bird. Right? For all the nations have drunk of the wrath of her fornications, and the kings of the earth have committed fornications with her. Right? And the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right? And it says, and I've heard, so you see America deals with all the different nations of the world, and that's how the different nations of the world get rich, through the trade. Right? Through her trade. And it says, "And I heard of another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people," which is saying what it was saying in Micah. Right? "Arise ye, depart." So we see that the scriptures corroborate, right? They connect. Right? The same thing is saying in Micah 2:10 is the same thing is saying in Revelations, the 18th chapter here, and says, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. For her sins," right, the iniquity that she does, right, the abominable works that America does in terms of pushing all of anything and everything contrary to the scriptures, right? It says, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven," right, "and the Most High hath remembered her iniquity." Right, and this is what I was talking about earlier. It says, "Reward her, even as she rewarded you." Right, double unto her according to her work. So just as you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans were put into captivity in America, you're supposed to reward America double unto them. That's why we say you gotta hasten the day, because if you're hastening the day, right, that's what you're looking forward to. That's what drives you. That's what puts you out here, makes you come out here in the cold, because you want to make sure that you're worthy of that reward that the Most High is going to give to His elect. Where you're gonna have, the people whose captives you were. Now you're gonna be rulers. That's what you hasten the day for. That's the faith and the patience of the saints, like it says in the scriptures. All right, and it says, all right, and it says, "Reward her even as she is rewarded you." Right, double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup that she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and no widow, and have see no sorrow, because America hasn't really been touched, right? No wars actually occurred in America. They've always been the propagators of war, right? It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, right? And this is, like I was saying before, those plagues pertain to the intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? But it's also pertaining to those short-range missiles, right? And the intermediate-range missiles, right? It says, therefore shall her plague come in one day, death, mourning, famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord the Most High, who judgeth her, right? And the kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when they see her, the smoke of her burning. So you're actually going to see it on your TV screens, right? Where they're going to say, oh, you know, this, that, and the third concerning, you know, the destruction, right? And it says, right, and the kings of the earth who committed, sorry, I read that bit, and saying, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, right, the land of confusion, right? And it says, that mighty city, for in 1 hour her judgment has come, right? And back to Micah, it says, arise ye, depart, for this is not your rest, right? Because it is polluted, and it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction, right? And, you know, pretty much, with that said, you know, we're going to talk the lesson, you know, Lord willing, it was edifying. Right, and, you know, we're nearly out of this place, seeing all kind of, you know, destruction in different places, so, you know, you ain't got nothing to worry about. So double honors unto all of this, right? Honest you brothers that be pushing this truth and sincerity, all right? And you know, we see you in the next round. You know, Lord willing, you know, this thing gets popping off, right? Shalom.